Hello and welcome to show number 78 of the 1420 Sports Podcast, for beer with a sports talk and a whole lot more. Brought to you tonight, unofficially of course, by Bison and Brown Cream Ale from Stronghold Brewing Company, the beer from the homeland in Fort McLeod, Alberta. I'm your host, Brent Radlinski, recording from Yankee Tavern North, along with reigning 1420 trivia champion Dave Van Robies in sunshiny Lethbridge, Alberta. The NCAA basketball tournament begins this week on both the men's and women's sides with a major Canadian presence. We'll talk about that and some Canadians who fared pretty well during March Madness. With the passing of a young Russian defenseman in the KHL and Taylor Hall taking a puck to the coconut this week, is it time for hockey people to revisit head protection at all levels of the game? The Buffalo Sabres have fired another head coach and are deep into another rebuild. Do small market teams make rebuilding habitual? And to end tonight's show, we'll have another round of everyone's favorite podcast game show, Who is Better? So sit back, grab a beer, and as always, let's get into her. Thursday, the 18th of March, 2021, the day after St. Patrick's Day here in sunshiny Lethbridge, Alberta. What a day it was. I was in Medicine Hat today. Man, it was almost hot. You don't mind seeing that from the 18th of March, the day after St. Patrick's Day. Dave, did you go out and what did you do for St. Patrick's Day besides nothing?
Nothing, absolutely at all. But you know what? I think St. Patrick's Day to me is amateur day. It's like the pro-am. People that don't drink go out to drink on St. Patrick's Day.
You know, I've never heard that before. I've never heard that analogy, but I can't agree with you anymore. As a seasoned vet of the beverage that me and you are, I'm gonna have some green beer. I don't care, dude.
No, what? Just like I know my pub. I stay home on St. Patrick's Day, and that's been for quite some time now because it's amateur hour.
Yeah.
Like, not that you're there to get Rip Thornton, but now it's noisy and it's pretenders and green beer, and it's like, just stop it.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't I never participated. I think I went to a bar once in Medicine Hat with the shenanigans going on, and me of all people got in a heated argument with an Irish guy. He kept telling me how Irish he was, and I said, dude, I don't care. Anyways, guy's name was Sheldon Hart, and there was a situation. But anyways, St. Patrick's Day, it's not a thing for me. I was at the homeland yesterday, went and visited Mom, drove by Stronghold Brewery. Looked like they were having a small little gathering there, following the rules, but they were having a good time in there. I didn't stop in because I just know what if I would have stopped in, I probably wasn't leaving. And guys got to work and everything else. NCAA basketball tournament started tonight. The Drake beat, who was it? What did I say? I actually watched the game now. I can't
remember. Shockers.
The Wichita State Shockers. Wichita State had a three-pointer to finish it, missed. Drake moves on they play the USC Trojans tomorrow. The USC Trojans basketball team is better than their football team, so I expect Drake to win that game tomorrow. Anyways, moving on, the NCAA women's pool, and I didn't know this until my nephew sent me a Instagram post or whatever it was, the 1420 account, that the top 4 women's seeds in the NCAA women's side of the tournament, every one of them has a Canadian playing for them. All Ontario-born people. I'd say their names, but I'll give it a shot. I'm probably just destroy.
It's not important. Like, we're going to forget their names anyways. But
doesn't matter. But UConn, South Carolina, NC State, and Stanford. Fuck Stanford. Anyways, they all have a Canadian player playing for them, and that's huge to me. And then there's 25 men playing on the men's side. Dave, I find that the Raptors came in 25, 26 years ago. These kids are now between the age of 18 to 22 years old. How big is it, or how much has changed, I guess, from when we were kids that basketball wasn't a thing to now that there's kids with scholarships playing in the NBA? The game has grown so much because of the Raptors' influence, has it not?
I agree. And And that makes a huge difference because you see it in Major League Baseball with the Jays winning those World Series 10 years before the Raptors even came in, right? And then those kids, and there's more and more there's Canadians all over Major League Baseball now, and that's a good thing. And it's good to have a professional franchise that kids can watch and be on TSN all the time, and it is a good thing. Like having pro sports in the market really promotes development because there's local heroes, and if that makes sense,
Well, it does. Like
and
you
that's what
wonder,
it is,
you
especially when
wonder
they're good.
if a team's good, and you wonder if the Vancouver Grizzlies didn't draft big country Bryant Reeves, whatever year that was when they came into the league, and that just turned that franchise sideways. And when they could have drafted Steve Nash, who turned out better than anybody expected. You wonder if that franchise, if there was two teams in Canada, how much more the game of basketball would have grown in this country. It's grown exponentially, as we've seen with the Raptors championship a couple of years back, and the fan base, how big it is. You wonder if there was two teams in the country, how much bigger the game of basketball would have grown.
Possible. I don't know. That was so long ago. I don't know why Vancouver did not work.
Didn't win. See, Vancouver is a different demographic than Toronto. Toronto's used to losing.
And Vancouver thinks
that was
they
a cheap
should be
shot.
winning.
Sorry, that was a cheap shot, Toronto
No,
fans.
but what's the difference? Like what's Vancouver's heritage, right?
Well, they've been to the finals, and then Burn City's down. But anyways, there's just a different demographic that I think that with BC compared to BC's more laid back, and if their team's okay, they'll follow it, and they'll hope for their team. They don't get all crazy, burn the city down. Yeah, but it just seems that if there was the two teams in the country, that instant rivalry would have helped a lot.
I 100% agree. Like nothing's better than a grudge match, right? And like Michigan State, Ohio State football. Even though Ohio State has been eating their breakfast in their kitchen with their mom serving them that breakfast
in her 90, yeah,
every year. But nonetheless, if you can win one game a year, it's against your rival.
That's it. The one thing that really caught my eye a lot, now that I have I don't know, McKinley, I'm very sorry, I don't know your exact age, 13, 12, doesn't matter. Having 4 women at major conferences on a number one team, that's huge. And little girls across the country and even little boys can say, I can do that now. And it's something to strive for. I think it's really good that even the Canadian media, who doesn't follow college basketball at all, I think it's very important that they promote this and publish it. And then kids can go, hey, I can do this.
Well, I agree with you because, because those kids are Canadian, they're going to get a little bump on TSN. They might get a little bump on local news, especially if they're in the local market, with Global or whatever here. And I might want to think even there's a little bit of Steve Nash effect for that too, when he was playing for Phoenix and winning MVPs. So not only do we have the Raptors, we have a Canadian 6'1" skinny white kid winning NBA MVPs, and that's when Shaq was in the league. That's when LeBron was in the league.
Kobe, LeBron,
Kobe.
Yeah.
These guys were all in the league when he was winning. What's his name from the big fundamental from San Antonio, Duncan? He was in the league.
Yeah.
And Steve Nash was winning MVPs too.
No, that
should have won 3.
Did he go to Santa Clara? I want to say he was
Santa Clara. I saw it on Twitter because I've mentioned before on this day in sports history, Steve Nash was money from the line, and they beat I want to say Florida in the first round as a 15 beating a 2.
No, I think it's great the way Canadians have really gotten into sports, not just hockey. We're not just a hockey nation anymore. Yes, it's still our major thing that we're doing, but the way that basketball, the odd NFL guy shows up now, baseball, like you said, a lot of more athletes from Canada are getting recognized, and it's a global game. And the way it's all turned out, I think it's fantastic on both the men's and women's side, especially how they're getting more opportunities and getting a chance. And hey, you know what? Like a lot of these guys, yes, you won't go pro, but if you can get most of your education paid for and help out your folks and everything else, I think it's fantastic for kids to be able to strive for something that's not a. And the thing is, and you've said it and I've said it, we've all said it. Hockey players can be a bit, and the parents, I'm sure it's the same way in basketball and everything else. But if you're an elite basketball player in this country, it's known. Like you're not having to step over a lot of people. I wouldn't think. Like you're okay. He's really good, and my kid's not.
Yeah, you're right. Like it would
Does that make any sense?
Oh no, without a doubt. If any player at the high school level in Canada, like in 3 years, is going to be at any NCAA school,
Mm-hmm.
you know it by seeing it. Like, and that's what they say about any, like when you see a hockey player, whatever, like at the age of 14, unless that kid is heads and tails clearly the best player on the ice, they don't have a chance. Like no one else has a chance. This guy would be noticeable like that, like to the power of two. Like just
Well, that's just it. Like, that's what I'm getting at. Like a Canadian kid to get noticed to go to Duke, like he's dominating his high school in southern Alberta or southern Ontario or wherever it is. Like they got to be known because our population is 30 million. The U.S. is 300 million. Obviously, not they don't all play basketball, but it's just numbers.
But I think it's one of those things too, where basketball is a game you can work on outside of structured context, like
by yourself with a couple of buddies.
Like in a city,
and a pair of shoes.
Yeah. You don't hear about too many country boys like Hoosiers making it, like from Canada, like bouncing the ball on a dirt floor with against a hoop on a light pole. Like these are guys like in inner city, like in the big cities that you're killing time, so you go to the community outdoor court and you can work on your game.
No, I think it's great.
And it's for the love of the game. You're not working on your game. You're learning the game the way like Gretzky learned it on the ice, right?
No, I think it's fantastic. Like these boys, these men and women. I shouldn't call them boys and girls. Like, I mean, compared to me and you, they're boys and girls, I guess. But I think it's fantastic. There's more Canadian content in the tournament. It's an exciting tournament. The games are going on right now, and it's going to be in full swing tomorrow. Make sure you guys sign up. We have a few people signed up, not a lot. I thought we would get more, but who knows? Tonight might happen still for the 14-20 basketball pool or brackets. It's really simple. You sign in, you pick your teams. Dave, you have to finish yours off still.
No, I'm in.
No, you're incomplete. It's incomplete.
Okay.
I read it earlier on. You got to pick the final score, I think, of the last game. Anyway, sign up. It's easy. Pick a bunch of teams. We don't know what we're talking about. I kind of got a kick out of people saying they didn't want to sign up for the basketball pool, and I said, well, you sign up for the hockey pool, you don't know anything about that either, because they're in second to last place. So whatever. Pick some teams, grab one, follow it for a couple of days. They might be done by tomorrow. They might be done by next week, but it's a lot of fun. The tournament's a good time. I know I'll be tattooed to the TVs on the weekend watching it. Dave, any closing remarks? You still stick with Michigan?
Well, I got it. Like Juwan Howard, one of the Fab Five, coaching that team, one of the number one seeds. That's my team. That's my team.
I think there you go.
I got Duke losing, not Duke, Gonzaga losing earlier than I should too.
My brother went Gonzaga and Virginia. I think he went with what he went with.
That's pretty ballsy.
Well, Gonzaga, he lives in Victoria, so he's got that West Coast bias, I guess. But anyways, sign up for the basketball pool. It's a lot of fun to follow. You can win some 14-20 swag. We're picking some more crap up tomorrow, and we'll be pushing that out there for you guys. Hockey's a strange game. There's no doubt about it. A lot of highs, a lot of lows. A couple of lows last night. The New York Rangers didn't have a coach on the bench. They brought guys up from their minor league system. They ended up drubbing the Philadelphia Flyers 9-0. Then they turned the channel after that game was done. The Oilers just destroyed the Flames last night. Yeah. Dave, have you ever been part of a drubbing?
Oh, fuck yeah.
I mean a drubbing.
Oh, brother. I played on the U of L University of Lethbridge soccer team when I was 17, 18, and we were average at best. When I say average, we weren't good.
Yeah.
We had the one year we had a tie and a tie and a win, and one year we only had one tie. But we would go to the coast, University of BC and University of Victoria. We lost 8-0 to the University of British Columbia.
Soccer, that's tough. Yeah.
It was a pounding, and they were so much better than us. And it was raining, and it was not it was just fuck. Why didn't we just flip a coin for the game? And then
because then the other team had a chance of losing the coin flip, whereas they had no chance of losing if they played.
Yeah, I for whatever reason I remembered that because it was just so soggy and I was so wet and the field, like it was like we were playing on a fucking swamp, and they owned us.
Yeah. No, there's drubbings. I was a pair. Jesus, how do I put this? Like it was bad. 94, the Olds Grizzlies had they put together a team to win the Centennial Cup, which is the junior A championship of the country. They were hosting that year, and they put together a team that was just, they were good. And the Bonneville Pontiacs, we weren't. We lost by a converted touchdown and a touchdown with a 2-point conversion. Twice. We lost 15-0 twice in two separate visits to Olds. I was in net for all 15 the first time. I think we got I'm not pumping I still let in 15 goals. I think we got outshot 82-9 or something stupid like that. It was just.
Well, that's the thing when you're so overmatched, and in that game against British Columbia, UBC, like we weren't even. The goalie could have been having a fucking snack. Like he did. Like I don't know if he touched the ball 4 times all game. Yeah, and then when another team is so dominant and like it's just like, oh fuck, the onslaught continues.
Oh, it was gross. I remember about halfway through the second period, and we were already down 9 or 10-0, whatever it was, and the guy Rio Lajeunesse or whatever, I can't remember, whatever, he rolled over and he said something to me. He goes, "You had enough yet?" I said, "I had enough in the first period, man. Like just let it go. Like, why do you guys, what do you," he goes, "Point night against Bonneville, man. We're padding the stats all night against you guys." I'm like, oh, Jesus.
The team wants to do that. Like, the coach should say, okay, we're playing with 6. Like, just like, pull the goal.
That's the thing. We had 9 shots. They scored 15 fucking goals, man.
When you're overmatched, you're overmatched.
It was gross. And you wonder, like, we're going to talk. We'll just keep on with this topic here because we're going to talk about something a little bit darker. But this is a lot of fun. You watch the Oilers last night just dominating the Flames, and it was Sutter's 4th game as their head coach. And I heard later on today on the radio on the way home that Sutter said, I don't like pulling my goalies, and they have confidence in me because if I have confidence in them, they feel better about everything. If you're an NHL goaltender and there's 7 behind you, a converted touchdown, is that too much?
When I saw the score, I was like, and then I saw Markstrom for all 7. I thought that was a little cruel, but then when I heard Sutter, I heard him on his press conference. They replayed it on 960. I liked his explanation. You know, your team's having a rough day. You have a rough day with your team out on the ice. Like
Yeah,
they're like nothing's gonna change.
we're
Like we're
not
gonna
winning.
lose this game. We're not gonna lose. Just get out there with your team and take your licks with the rest of the team. Like you don't get a. Why do you get a break? And then because he wasn't playing bad from everything I've heard about that game.
You know,
It
I
was just the team that really let him down in front of him.
like I said, I was allergic to vulcanized rubber. Like it didn't hit me as much as I hoped it would have back in the day. But there was like getting scored on a consistent basis was bad, but getting yanked was worse. Like you just and then sit here. You're terrible. Sit here. To me,
Yeah,
that was worse.
yeah, and it totally depends on the goals because like in NHL hockey, like after 3 goals, like if 2 are groaners, like if the first one's a snoozer, and then a good goal, and then a snoozer, it's now 3-0. You still got a chance to win. That's when you pull the. That's when you get out the hook.
Well, just
But
tonight,
when it's 8-1, when it's 5-1, damage done.
yeah. No, yeah, it's like tonight the Rangers, I know the Islanders, sorry, they were down 3-0 early. Flyers come back or they came back, tied it up. Flyers didn't win the game 4-3. I the thing about goaltending compared to like I said, I wasn't very good. But the thing about goaltending compared to a forward, that if a goalie has a bad night, he can't just go out for another shift and start banging and crashing, dump it in, and he like if pucks aren't hitting the goalie, they ain't hitting them. Whereas a third line winger can go out his next shift, which might be a period and a half from now, and redeem himself a little bit by having a good shift. When a goalie has a bad shift, it's bad. It's worst case scenario.
Well, and that's the thing. Like in quarterbacks, starting pitching, and goalies.
Yeah.
Like there's no other positions that have so much effect on the game, right? Like it's
Well, right there, Dave, there's a reason why if you like there's no once again the 1420 podcast, we don't do research. This is all on memory. But if you go through the Conn Smythe winners, every other year is a goalie. Not every other year, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of
oh
goalies
yeah,
who win
yeah.
a
There's a
Conn
lot
Smythe trophy.
there's like probably 5 goalies for every 1 D man on that
Because
list.
a good goalie can win a championship. A bad goalie ain't winning a championship. If you go through Super Bowl MVPs, it's quarterbacks. Like if you have a bad quarterback, a bad goalie, you ain't winning.
Oh no, and like you could win with an average quarterback and an average goalie.
Yeah.
But then everything in front of you has to be superb.
Well,
Like
who was the quarterback in Baltimore?
Trent Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer is an average quarterback on a college team.
And Johnson with Tampa Bay Bucks that
That's
year.
right. No, it's like I don't know. I like what Sutter did, keeping a guy in and say, "Here's how I'm going to do things." You're not.
And the way he explained himself,
like
I love the way he explained himself.
The way I understood, you're not getting a free pass. If you have a bad night, stick it out because you know what? We all have bad nights.
Get out. You're there with your team, and
there with your team, and if and you're supposed to be our best guy, and so I'm not, and I don't think it's a money thing, but you know what? You're making $6 million a year. Stick it out. Get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
well, not even get better. Like you had a bad game, and we all understand it. I don't even think it's not motivational as to your effort level. I think it's motivational as to team building. And so the guys playing in front of him feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Like they're like, Jesus, sorry, man.
I gotta be better than that.
Man.
Well, there was
I gotta be better. And then he can break it down as a coach. Daryl Sutter is not a bad coach.
I think he's great.
He's a hell of a coach. He's a terrible GM.
That might be the Alberta bias. I love the Sutters. Sutters can walk on water around here for me. I think.
Well, I'm not going to say that. Go that far.
I am.
Yeah, but like Daryl Sutter's a hell of a coach. He's just a terrible GM.
Yeah. The one thing last night that made me chuckle. I was listening to, I can't remember what I was listening to this morning on the way to work, but there was a 2 defensemen on the Flyers. They were -6 on
Ouch.
they were -6. They might never play again, Matt. Like, if you're a -6, that's awfully cold. That's awfully cold.
That
After the
is not.
second period, they were
And you-
-6.
and they got paid for it. They got their game check.
Oh my, that's tough. That is tough.
Speaking of -6, do you follow Mike Commodore on Commie on Twitter?
Yeah,
He
I had a
has
little
the
Commodore rant on Sunday's 1420 podcast. But go ahead.
with the Masters and and who has the
No, not the Masters, but about him and Babcock still battling. But yeah, who's cold, who's really cold
he's
this
funny.
year.
I dig that guy's.
No, I do too. I do
I
too.
dig
And
that guy's act.
I think he's great. I think he's funny. What's his? He's in one when he's having some drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
My take. Babcock's in his head. He's got to let it go.
Well, no, I think he talked shit about Babcock 10 years ago.
Yeah, but what
before he got that? He just, I don't care. Let him do what he wants.
No, I agree, but you know what? You're in the media. You go on the radio every now and then. You still complain about Babcock. Who's in whose head? Babcock don't care.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right about that.
Like,
Babcock forgot about Commodore the second he sent him down.
You weren't
to
good enough
Rochester.
to play for me. I don't care. Whatever, man.
Whatever.
And
to that point, Commodore wasn't that good. He was average at best.
His hair made him who he was.
You bet. Because
that's my take.
He had that cup run with Calgary, and then he won
went to
one
Carolina.
And then he had the bathrobe thing, and he's a really good guy.
Yeah, he's a hype man early. Like he was Paul Bissonnette before Paul Bissonnette existed.
Exactly.
Does that make any sense?
Twitter.
Before Twitter.
Oh no, without a doubt. No, I 100% agree. Everybody loves
that. Is a screaming hot take. We should actually cut the show right there, because that was actually one of the smartest things I've ever said in the 1420 podcast.
Oh no, he I think Commie was just absolutely brilliant in the locker room, and he was a glue guy, and he just was average on the ice. But everybody knew him because he had that big red fro.
Yep.
And he was a good guy with a nice voice.
Absolutely. Anyways, we'll
kind of like you.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I think more pucks hit him than me, and I was supposed to get hit by pucks. Not many hit old Brent Radlinski. Good thing I have black pads. You couldn't see how many missed me. Anyways.
And no fro.
No fro. Even less now if you watch it on YouTube later on. Look at that. Anyways, Dave, we didn't talk about what we were going to talk about. I think it turned out way better than we hoped. The 1420 podcast, we're on Spotify and everything else. There was a bit of a mishap on Sunday. Episode 76 turned out to be 77. I said 75 and things, but we'll straighten it out tonight. So 76 is up on Spotify now for those who listen to Spotify. Dave, when you listen to podcasts, are you a Spotify, Apple podcast? What's your thing?
I'm all Apple.
Yeah.
I'm all Apple.
See, I was all Apple, but Apple pisses me off because they go back to the one you were listening to or the previous episode. They don't go to the next one.
You're right.
And I don't know why they do that.
No, neither me. I completely agree. Because when you're listening to a podcast and it's not this one, it's like my favorite one. My favorite podcast to listen to is WTF with Mark Maron. And then so I can't listen to them all. But I listen to the one I'm listening to, and I want to listen to the most recent one, but it plays the one later than
listen to.
Yeah.
And then if you don't listen to the entire thing, like you miss the ad at the end, it goes to the ad at the end of the one you already cut off.
Right. So I've taken care now. Like when I cut it off for the ad, I have to swipe.
So Apple can take out of my basement in my home here in Lethbridge, Alberta, they can take my MLB app off of my television from my Apple TV that I bought 6 years ago, but they can't figure that out.
Well,
or have they figured it out and they don't want to fix it?
Well, once again,
Bastards.
They're putting it on for free, right? Like, do you want them to make you dinner too?
Never hurts. Never hurts.
We're grateful for the exposure that we have.
That's right.
Why? Right? We are grateful.
That's
We're
right.
on 8 platforms, and because one ain't perfect.
They no, they're one of the better ones. Most of our listeners are from Spotify and Apple and or Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and TuneIn Radio and iHeartRadio and everywhere else we are. Make sure you talk to people about the show. If they haven't found it yet, show them where it is so they can listen because it's some entertaining stuff. There's no doubt about that.
On the absolute platform of your choice.
Yes. And if
whatever you want.
If there's one we're not on, let us know and I'll get us on that one.
And we started on Podbean. Just one. And now we're on
all of them.
All of them.
Just about all.
Well, unless they tell us different.
There we go. The Buffalo Sabres got rid of Randy Kruger or whatever his name was. Bruce, who cares? Man, oh man, Dave. How can a team, I talked about it on a weekend edition of the 1420 podcast a couple weeks back about the Sabres and how Kruger wasn't, Ralph Kruger, he coached the Oilers a few years back. I talked about how bad a team could be year in, year out. Does rebuilding, is the word rebuild an excuse for a general manager or an owner to say we're on the right track? Because I don't think rebuilding can work for the simple reason you still have the same core group. And if the Buffalo Sabres, no matter what you do, they've spent a lot of money the last few years on Reinhardt, on Skinner,
Taylor Hall on a one.
Taylor Hall, they gave him $8 million. And then Eichel at their $10 million man. Like and you're not getting anywhere. How do you as an ownership group and how do you as a general manager or a coach, how do you go in front of the media and say, well, we're rebuilding once again? These guys only can play for so many years. How do you continue to rebuild?
And it's like so I'll just talk hockey. What I hear about the Buffalo Sabres is that about 4 or 5 years ago, they just skinned down their scouting department. They decided they were going to do all their scouting on video, and that's how they were going to make their draft picks. If you choose, I think in hockey more than anything, and then like baseball is next. It's all about scouting. I would put every available dollar into scouting and having exclusive scouting, not signing on to a service that gives you the analytics and prints you a report. I want people to see this kid play hockey.
Eye test,
exactly. And that's how you and in Europe, in Russia, whatever. You don't have to pay him a ton of money. Like, I have no idea what a scout makes, but then maybe have a kickback. Like, so in 5 years, if the pick that we made your third rounder that turns into an everydayer, here's your $10,000 bonus. Like, I have no idea how that works, but if you choose to be a small, if you choose to want to have a consistently good team in today's NHL, you have to draft properly. And clearly, aside from Michael, who on Buffalo have they drafted?
Well, there was Reinhardt in around there, and they that it was Rasmus or Dalton, I think, was a defenseman there. It was supposed to be the next coming of Nick Lidstrom, and just didn't turn out that well. Now, don't want to pick on Buffalo, but we will, because I mean they're not listening. No one in New York listens, but if you're a bad team and you bring in these young kids, the guys who preceded them, if they're on a bad team, they don't know what winning is. Like, it's really easy to lose hockey games. It's really easy. Trust me, I know. I lost a lot of games played. It's easy to lose. It's hard to win. If you have a system that loses year after year after year, and all you know is losing, from your veterans who are 30 years old to the guys who are like, well, we lost and we just know we're going to lose tonight. It's hard to get that thought process out of the locker room, is it not?
I would think, and let's take the Oilers as the similar example, like, because Buffalo and Edmonton Oilers are pretty much at the same thing, but Edmonton did better with their first round picks. They have 2 all-world players, all world, and those 2 fuckers are trying to make it work.
So I'll stop right there. Did you see that goal that Draisaitl scored on Monday night? I think it was Monday night. Oilers Flames, the first game that this back-to-back here. There was 2 guys who could do that, score that goal in the entire league, and they both played for the Oilers. McDavid went across the line, dropped past, and Draisaitl went roof daddy.
Just fucking wired it.
Unbelievable. There's 2 guys in the league that could have made that play, and they both played Edmonton. Anyways,
and the fact that those 2, no, but like that's a thing. Like they're so good. Draisaitl and Connor are so good, but they can't seem to figure the whole picture out.
They're close.
And then they're closer. Right? You got 2 of the top 5 players in the league on your team. Right? They both have won Hearts, and they're on your team. And they're both signed for 6 years each.
And that's the thing. And I heard it on another show today. That's where we fired a lot of our crap in the 1420 podcast. I heard another show, Overdrive, with Jeff O'Neill. He said, I only played for 11 years. And that guy had a good career. So he had 11 years in the National Hockey League. You're already at Eichel's year 6. They aren't winning a cup in 5 years, the Buffalo Sabres. They're not.
You can't rebuild that quick. You cannot.
Like, to go, and they already have Skinner, Reinhart, Dalton, blah, 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 blah. So now in 5 years, they're not winning a cup. So that's why, like, do these small market teams just get a pass?
I don't think they get a pass. Well, there's no such thing as a small market team in the NHL, right? It's a salary cap. You got to make the floor.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and then look at the Florida Panthers. Look at Carolina. They're lighting it up this year. And Columbus has been relevant.
Well, Columbus Torch is having a rough year this year. But
but and he's one of those coaches. The message gets old.
We talked about it a few weeks back on the podcast that would you rather have a relevant team every year, or that makes the playoffs and lose in the first or second round, or a championship team every 10 years?
But look at that. So let's talk about the San Jose Sharks, who were relevant for 15 years.
Yeah.
And now they suck because they obviously did things right. And they traded picks, like they drafted players, they made good trades. They kept going, and they kept taking they kept trying to grab that brass ring. And then finally it collapsed. Like our core got old, and they collapsed.
Well, and you look at a team, and we've discussed this in the past, like Detroit, 25 years made the playoffs, 25 years in a row, Stanley Cup champions. Do you trade that for the really down years they're having now? Yes, as a fan, absolutely you would. Absolutely.
Without a doubt. Yes. Like, you can't win every year. And as a fan, you know that.
let's change to a franchise that was so irrelevant for so long, and they finally won 2016, the Chicago Cubs. With a market that size and the brand that's that size, are you allowed to be a disgruntled fan and say, what the fuck is going on here? That's the first swear word tonight, the 1420 podcast, that we're an hour and a bit in. If you were a Cubs fan, all those years where they were just terrible, would you be like, we're the Chicago Cubs in the second biggest city in the United States of America?
You know what?
Whatever it is.
Not. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I thought that to myself once. Like, was actually winning the World Series bad for their brand? Because now, like,
You know, I get
I-
what you're saying.
because now, like, Wrigleyville still happens, and the thing across the street still happens, and
The
we're still
lovable
the
losers,
Cubbies.
the
They're
lovable
not
losers
lovable
aren't the
losers
lovable
anymore.
losers anymore.
And then all of a sudden now it's 5 years later, and I'm like, hey, I thought we were going to win 2 or 3 here,
And they didn't.
and they didn't.
Now they're actually getting rid of guys and rebuilding so that's when. So do these?
And they got rid of Epstein, best general manager in the history of baseball. If we ever want to
He's
get to
there.
that,
He's there.
how can he not?
He's there. He's right there. Yeah.
He broke 220 years of jinxes in his career.
No, he's right there. Epstein, God, Jesus. I mean, I'm not a Red Sox guy at all, obviously, but as you can see over the shoulders here. But I tell you what, Epstein, he brought 2 world championships that 2 teams never did before. Right. So,
right.
That's a very good question, Dave. Did the Cubs hurt their brand by winning a World Series? Probably. I never thought of that before. Probably. I mean, it was great to watch, and then that Eddie Vedder song, I'll put it up on the Twitter account later on. That someday we'll go all the way.
It's beautiful. It's
beautiful. I tear up. It's phenomenal.
Because I'm not a fan of the Bo Sox, and I'm not a fan of the Cubs. And I was also like, before the Bo Sox won theirs, I was cheering against them, and I was cheering against the Cubs. I wasn't cheering. I was hoping the Cubs would find a way to lose, because I love a good streak, whether it be futility or excellence.
Well, years and years and years ago, it might have been the infamous 2000 night in the Bulldog in Whitefish, Montana. There, Brad Dersch, good friend of ours, was talking about he's been on the show a couple of times. He's a Cubs guy, and he's been to Wrigley. And we were talking about the Cubs, and we were laughing about the Cubs never winning. And he goes, they're going to win. We're like, no, it took them 15 more years, but they did. But now we can't bug them about that.
Right. It was like the Flames were like, as an Oilers fan back in the day when the Flames won their cup.
Yeah.
Just win one, and then you can talk to me.
Then you can talk.
And they did. They won one.
They won one.
But but going back to the Cubs, like I definitely think it hurts their brand. Like now the 80-year-olds aren't renewing their season tickets. I don't know. Like, especially
now they
can't. COVID, like
now Eddie Vedder can't sing the song because the song is "Someday We'll Go All the Way." Well, they went all the way, so the song's even debunked now.
Exactly. Like it's just not like it's there's more. There's 30. You were the worst. You were the bottom of the list.
Oh, the Cubs.
Now you're like top 3, like last teams to win World Series.
I tell you what, though, I mean, we can laugh about the past, but that Cubs World Series in 2016, that was something else to watch when they almost blew it, and then they almost blew it again. And when Chris Bryant slipped when he was throwing the ball to first base to get the final out to Rizzo, a great World Series. It
was a hell of a World Series. It was so fun to watch.
It was great to watch. It was great to watch the Cubs win. And I went to Wrigley for the first time after they won that World Series, and the joy in the people's faces still was pretty amazing to watch. And there's a little museum they have there, and they had a World Series ring that people were lining up to take pictures with. It was pretty great. But I just hope that teams don't just mail it in, because I think there's because there's a lot of money to be made to lose
Well, yeah, like for who though,
for the
right? Like,
owner. For the owner, like an
yeah,
owner
and
can
then
make a lot of dough in baseball with their, what do they call it? The
contracts, revenue sharing,
revenue sharing, everything else, and
and
it's too bad.
merchandising and blah blah blah. And then they might own the bars around the street, right?
That's
Like,
right.
like, and it's not team revenue, but it's owner
It's
revenue.
owner
Like,
revenue, so it makes it tough. I just hope that sports isn't like that. Sports is a lot about money more than it was, but you know what? We should look past the money all the time. We try to do that in the 1420 podcast, where we try to look past the money, but it always comes back to talking about money somehow. But anyways, speaking of money, buy yourself a hat, buy yourself a shirt, promote the show a little bit, talk to your friends and neighbors about the show, and we're on YouTube now and then. We'll probably put this one up on YouTube tonight. You can put it up on your big screen while you're watching the NCAA basketball tournament, while you're participating in the 1420 bracket pool, and see how you finish off. But yeah, go Cubs, go. I don't know. Before we get going here, Dave, we're 2 weeks away. Tonight is opening day. We'll have to do it maybe next week. We'll do we'll seal an envelope live on the show.
Still an envelope live, so they hear us licking the envelope.
Seal an envelope. Who we think is going to win the AL East, AL West, blah blah blah. Predictions for baseball. We'll put him in a safe keep. Maybe give him to Jasper. Is he a good keeper of faith?
Oh, he loves keeping the faith, but no, like, we can't put him there because then he'll forget where he put him.
There you go. Kids nowadays. We'll give somebody we can trust. Hide him away. Maybe give him to my mom. She'll never lie. She got him in Fort McLeod, so we can't even drive over there and take it.
There's ways digitally that we can do this.
Yeah, we'll figure a way out, and have our predictions, and then when the season's over, we'll see who won. We'll put $5 down on each prediction. But anyways, figure that out. Maybe we'll get other people involved in it in the 1420 podcast. World Series predictions back in what month of March here. Watch the show. Watch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, blah blah, everything else. So yeah.
I wrote down Adam Scott.
So I said in the opening, there is the favorite game show in podcast in Southern Alberta is the Who is Better. We'll go with the second favorite topic on podcast in Southern Alberta. Dave, give me your would you rather. We've gotten away from it for a little bit the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and that's my fault, and I'm sorry about that. And you know what? My would you rathers are kind of a little bit off topic. They're not really even sportsy.
Doesn't matter.
But these people were athletes back in their day. Like, just knowing history and like way back in history, what would be better in historical context? Would you rather be a Viking or an Eskimo?
Viking or Eskimo? I'm going to say Viking. I don't want to, because you can't use, because of the Me Too movement, obviously, you can't use the word rape and pillage because that's really bad. But you could, I'd rather jump on a boat and sail somewhere than jump on an iceberg and hope to see something. Because I think Vikings might have had more of a, this is so ridiculous. Like, what do I know? There's no background on this whatsoever. But I think a Viking, when they jump on a boat, they have kind of a map and a course as to where they're going. Because when you load up a ship, you got to have a game plan. When you jump on an iceberg and hunting for seals, an Eskimo, I don't think has much of a game plan when they get out of the igloo.
I completely disagree. Like, I would 100% be an Eskimo, because you have because they figured it out. Like, they're living there and they're reproducing and they're living off the land. I have no idea how, I don't know how much seal and polar bear you can eat,
Well,
but
all that you need to.
well, apparently because like they lived, and you have your warm place to go by. The Viking, you're rolling the dice at every corner. Like you're getting on that boat and like with just how big could the boats be? And then now you're going and raiding towns, and
Well,
you might get killed. And
the Viking ship in West End is pretty big.
well, like to go like big, it's small compared to
Well, how
any
far were they
plane.
traveling? I don't know.
Well, like from Sweden to England, anyway, it's not a ton, but I think you're rolling the dice more as
As a
a
Viking compared
Viking.
to an Eskimo.
Yeah, and an Eskimo, you're just kind of used to it,
I gotcha.
and and you might die as a Viking a lot. I think your die factor is higher.
Cold's bad though, man.
But but they live in Sweden, so it's cold up there
They
too.
live in Minnesota.
They do now. Not
Minnesota.
a Minnesota Viking.
You can't, you
Not
can't
a
say
team that.
you can't say Minnesota without saying Minnesota. Just different. Did you have a second one, Dave?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's pretend back in the day. I don't know where I was going. Like I have them written down, so I'm going to use them both tonight. Would you rather be an Aztec king or the king of England in 1500?
Well, I know nothing about either. I have a disdain for the royal family. Like that Meghan and Harry thing a couple weeks back, that drove me bonkers.
I could give a fuck.
Oh, that's 100%. I totally agree with you, and I thought that way about the royal family for a long time. So an Aztec king for sure. Who do you care less about, A-Rod and J-Lo or Meghan and Harry?
Whew. That is literally scraping the bottom of the barrel.
But who do you care less about?
I think I care less about A-Rod and J-Lo because I didn't have to be told about this Oprah interview. I had to be told about A-Rod cheating on J-Lo. Like, and that's not from my Twitter feed.
Did it go? I think that one went away. Aren't they back together?
That's what my Twitter feed tells me.
I
And
would-
like why? Like because I follow too much sports. And someone from sports puts it on. It's like, what the fuck do I even know about this?
I bought this A-Rod baseball on his last night of this he ever played, game used, blah blah. The worst thing I've ever bought in my life. I've been trying to sell it and no one wants to buy it. Like whatever. I fell into the trap. I fell into the forgive and 13. Whatever. Anyways. Okay, we'll get into who is better, Dave. It goes, there's some food in here, there's hockey in here, there's some baseball in here, some music in here, some wrestling in here. Probably won't get through them all, but we'll start with
I'll be as quick as I can. You say I'll like I won't even think.
And we'll debate a little bit about each of them. Alexander Ovechkin just went into number 5 or 6 in the all-time goal scorers list. Who is better? Goal scorer Ovechkin or goal scorer Gretzky?
Gretzky.
I disagree 100%.
Ovechkin is more fit.
Not point getter, goal scorer.
I know, I understand you. Ovechkin is a stronger, more talented Brett Hull. I would say Ovechkin. I don't know this, but I would say he has a huge percentage of his goals scored on the power play.
Gretzky played against some of the worst goaltenders in hockey history. Ovechkin started his career, and he scores 50 a year. Ovechkin started his career when like the left wing lock and the neutral zone trap and blah. I'm gonna go with Ovi on this one. We'll agree to disagree.
Yes, and we won't go because no, fuck.
Who is better, Grant Fuhr or Patrick Roy?
Oh, Patty Roy, and I love Grant Fuhrer. I love Coco. Yeah, I'll take if my team is playing for the game to win it all. Yeah, I'm still gonna take Pat Roy.
I think when I first wrote it down, I agree. Yeah.
And I love Grant. Like he'll let in 5, but he won't let in the 6. And then and they'll win.
But Raw wouldn't let in 5 or 6.
Right.
Right.
And it was a different time, different game.
And
Roy wasn't on coke.
Well, yeah. We talked about it earlier on the show tonight. Carson Wentz or Andy Dalton?
Oh Jesus, you can have either of them.
Who is better?
I would probably take Andy Dalton because he had a terrible coaching staff. Carson Wentz he did well in he was there for the Super Bowl. He didn't win it. That was Big Dick Nick that won it. Yeah. And then he went, and then from how I can understand it, Wentz went all pissy pants on his coach.
That's the way I understand it too. Trying to think of a couple of good ones here. Well, you're an 80s child. Survivor or Kenny Loggins?
Schrats. I don't like.
That's a good question, Dave. Don't jump in too quick.
I almost did. And, I'm going to say Kenny Loggins, but I'm also going to say because he was the soundtrack king. Caddyshack. He was Top Gun. And there was one more. I think was he involved in Footloose? Yeah.
His song was Footloose.
Huge hits with the soundtracks.
I'll forward you a song I've been playing like nonstop lately here at the tavern. Didn't Know It Was Love, Survivor. What a tune. It's just it's
Survivor great. Has some
monster
fucking hits.
Monster hits.
Give me one like that. What are the names of their songs? Like
High on You. I'm so high on you. Yeah, there's.
I don't remember that one, but yeah, I know I like Survivor songs too. But
Eye of the Tiger, obviously.
Begrudgingly, I'll say Kenny Loggins just because of his soundtrack.
Do yourself a favor this weekend. Listen to yourself some Survivor tunes. Download them. Listen to it. It's great.
This weekend, tomorrow.
Chicken wings or dry ribs?
It's so hard to make that. It depends. When I know where I'm going, if I'm at the Bulldog and Whitefish USA, I will say chicken wings every time. If I am going to Earl's Restaurant in Lethbridge, Alberta, I will take ribs every time. Some places have good ones. Some places have bad ones. Fuck. It's so hard because I got Pop's Pub in Lethbridge, Alberta here. On wing night, they have fucking sparrow wings. Those ain't chicken wings.
Yeah, sparrow wings are bad.
That. I hate sparrow wings. So it's... Boy, I really dragged that out. I'd rather have a good chicken wing than a good dry rib. How's that?
I agree. No, I love wings. Like if you said, Brent, you can have wings and burgers every day, I'm absolutely like I'm signing up for that for sure. This for all the Flames fans listening out there, you might get and you're not a Flames guy, so I might get a proper reaction to this one. Joe Newendike or Gary Roberts?
Oh, Joe Newendike every day, all day. I fucking hate Gary Roberts. I hate him. Like, he was good. He was a decent player. He was a really good player, and he had injuries. But when he came back, I acknowledge his talent, especially with the Flames. And then he had his back issues, and he took 1 or 2 years off, and he came back with the Leafs. And that Leafs team,
Didn't he have a broken neck or something, or a broken vertebrae or something happened there?
he was banged up. And he came back with the Leafs, and that was the Leafs team that I fucking hated, with him and Tucker and Carson and Domi. They weren't good.
Yeah.
They were like clutching and grabbing and face rubbing and intimidating and like just fuck off.
Yeah.
They didn't ever make a Stanley Cup final. They beat
Have,
the Ottawa Senators every year. Good for you.
Newendike was a better player for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. I love that guy.
Yeah.
3
Newey
rings.
was great. Scored 50 with the Flames his rookie season. Newey, I think he went to Cornell. Great player.
I think it's 3 rings with 3 teams, right? Like for
Dallas,
sure, Calgary,
Dallas, Jersey, and Calgary, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and a gold medal with Canada.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer. I love Joe.
I think Newendike's a Hall of Famer for sure. Gonna have the producer gonna join us for the last. I got 2 more, but she'll join us for the very last. Who is better? Because we battle this one a little bit, and I think there she is.
Apparently.
Hi, Deanne.
Hi, Dave.
She didn't know she was joining, but anyways, yeah, that's a little bit below that. We'll have to give another seat. But anyways, Hulk Hogan or Randy Savage?
Oh, Macho Man! I've told this story, and
I know you're a Macho Man guy.
Oh, Macho Man!
Better than Hogan.
Well, like not like better. Well, like that's such a relative term. I loved Macho Man, and I'll love him more than the Hulkster every day, all day. I never did get to see. I saw Hulk wrestle twice live in my life.
Yeah,
I never once saw Macho, and that disappoints me.
That Elizabeth was a handsome woman.
She had something about her.
Yeah, she was. Anyways, me and the producer have had a lot of cover. She's. You should probably find a seat. We're on YouTube now, so you.
I can see her perfectly.
Well, but not the same level and everything else.
You know what I just did? I turned my screen to get her a little bit more.
Yeah, you turn your shit. It doesn't work that way, Dave. It works the way you turn your screen. Anyways, here in Radio
Land.
Land,
you're good now.
Radio Land, now that we're getting all sound here and everything else, we're on YouTube and everything else, I got to turn my screen for you to see things differently.
Trying to center YouTube.
Now, before you answer this, because I think I know what your answer is going to be, I hope, I could be wrong. Give it 30 seconds. Don't 30 seconds it of thought. Who is better?
I'm even going to write this down so I can pause.
The Beatles or the Beach Boys?
Oh, that is actually a good one. I thought you were going to say Stones, because everybody says like either you're a Beatles guy or a Stones guy.
That's only because they were from the same era, but they were very.
Yeah, and the Beach Boys were. You know, in my day, I did do some reading about Brian Wilson and his musical fucked up genius, and when he.
Have you seen that John Cusack movie?
Which one? The one where he owns the record store?
No, where he plays Brian Wilson. He plays Brian Wilson. It's a biopic.
I did not.
Very good.
You know what? No, it is. It's tougher than I thought it would be, but it's not actually. It's the Beatles all day, every day.
I don't think so.
I'm going to interject.
Deanne, you go ahead, then I'll give my thoughts.
Because you brought me in on this.
Yeah.
And here's my opinion. The Beach Boys are better. But we wouldn't have the Beach Boys if it weren't for the Beatles. each band drove the other to strive to be better, to be more innovative, to be more creative. And the Beach Boys won that battle, I think. Creatively, musically, talent-wise, the Beach Boys are better, but we wouldn't have them if it weren't for the Beatles. That's my answer.
Disagree.
That's fair.
You know, the Beatles, with the way they didn't start pop music, they became pop music, and their originality, their experimentation, their everything. The Beach Boys started as a surfer band, and
Beatles started as a pop band themselves. They were neither.
No, and I agree with that. I 100% agree. But the Beatles, like Revolver and Sergeant Pepper, Sergeant
Lonely
Pepper's.
Hearts Club Band.
Thank you. It's stupendous. Those two albums are stupendous.
Pet Sounds is better than that.
But Dave, I agree with you. I agree.
But Pets.
We wouldn't have Revolver and Sergeant Pepper's without Pet Sounds.
No. Sergeant Pepper was before Pet Sounds.
I think that's tight. I can't speak to years, but I think that's real close.
I don't care what was before or after.
Fun.
A better album is Pet Sounds.
You haven't heard Revolver.
Yeah, but that's it. But then name the second best Beach Boys album.
There you go. They stopped after that. They crumbled under their own pressure. But then so did the Beatles. They were only around for 4 years.
Well, yeah, but after like 12 fucking awesome albums.
Right. The White Album,
no.
Sergeant Pepper's, Revolver, that amazing, innovative, absolutely. But they each drove the other to be better.
Yeah, no. You keep saying that, Deanne. But what's the second best Beach Boys album?
Exactly. Well,
Endless Summer. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, those are surf words like fun till Daddy takes
but that's also
away.
you want to compare that to I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Stop it now. Eleanor Rigby, Yesterday.
Those came later.
What's that?
Those came later. Those were right off the hop.
You can say I'm right anytime, guys.
We should fact
check.
Dave,
I think the better, more entertaining band in my I grew up a Beach Boys fan. One of my first concerts I ever saw was the Sportsplex. I think that maybe it's my heartstrings pulling at me, but I think a better, more entertaining band is the Beach Boys.
For a guy who's not a big fan of the melancholy, sad genre of music, you're missing out an entire section of the Beach Boys canon.
I like the Beach Boys.
I love the Beach Boys. And I also love the Beatles. I don't like early Beatles. I like later Beatles.
I love all the Beatles.
That's fair. I think in order to clarify both of our arguments, because I think we're both speaking the same language but on opposite ends, that we should probably fact check our years for these album releases.
And then here's the thing. Here's a challenge I'd like to think. Take your best 5 Beach Boys songs that aren't on Pet Sounds, an album I own. God Only Knows is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Fantastic.
Fun fact about God Only Knows. Paul McCartney says that he thinks it's the best song ever written.
It's a beautiful song.
It is.
It's almost perfect. Beautiful song. God Only, yeah, I 100% agree with that.
But Eleanor Rigby, like you mentioned a minute ago, that's my favorite Beatles song of all time. I wish it was 15 minutes long, and it's one of the shortest songs they have.
You know, and the Beatles songs, they were a little bit earlier, right? The Beach Boys, like but
they were pretty Beatles, on par with each other for a while.
Yeah, but that was at the tail end of the Beatles, and that was the beginning of the Beach Boys.
That's fair. But I shouldn't say it's a known fact, but it is a fact that Brian Wilson was driven by an internal non-external competition with McCartney and Lennon.
No, I agree with what. Yeah, you're right. You're right, D. You're 100% right.
And I'm not saying that the Beatles didn't one up or try to one up Pet Sounds and the innovation and the creativity and the musicality of the whole thing. But like you said, Revolver's a perfect example.
What's a better song? Good Vibrations or Eleanor Rigby?
Good Vibrations.
Eleanor Rigby.
What's a better song? Till the Daddy Takes His Surfboard Away or
T-Bird.
Help?
T-Bird Away.
Help.
Yeah, see? So now what it's
I didn't know that song.
You know Help. Help! I need somebody.
I need somebody. Help.
T-Bird.
Not anybody.
T-Bird's
Help.
way better.
Help me if you can.
No. The pop shit.
I think you're
but God only
Deanna, I think you're Beatles. You just don't want to admit it.
It's the Beach Boys.
God only knows, and
it's the Beach Boys. It's not even close.
Are better than Yesterday.
It's not even close.
Yesterday gets all the credit. Yesterday's considered one of the top 5 greatest songs ever written of all time, and God Only Knows is much better than that song.
Yeah.
Anyways, this could go on for hours and hours and hours.
We're talking like we're not recording. I apologize about that.
Better than Hey Jude. It's better than oh God, I can't even. There's so many.
This could go on forever and ever and ever. We could talk about this. We'll do it. Okay, one more. Yeah.
The Beatles have in their bag, in their bag of tricks, volume of songs. The amount of content the Beatles have is astronomical, especially for the length of time that they were active.
You're saying it like it's a bad thing.
I'm not. But the Beach Boys didn't hit their stride, and then it was over.
Because the Beatles were after it in like 1965, right? Like
I think what was it, 64 to 68, if I'm not mistaken. 69 maybe.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the time.
And then I will give the Beatles a little credit for after they separated, the parts were almost as equal to the whole.
Man, I opened up a can of worms. It's supposed to be Beach Boys or Beatles. Hey, okay, we're not going to solve this tonight. We dragged this on for a lot longer than we should have. My God, Beach Boys or Beatles is supposed to be love, fun, have good. T-Bird Away.
Love and fun, and sometimes
but anyways, debate. Hey, whoever's listening out there, get back to us tonight, tomorrow. Too much now to listen to the show. Dave,
I want to say one more thing. How many Beach Boys songs get covered and become top 10 hits?
Not enough.
How many Beatles songs get covered and become top 10 hits?
That's not a testament. That's not a check.
That's a total testament.
No, it's not.
I don't name 3 Beatles songs that got I don't know. Like I honestly don't know.
Blackbird with a little help from my friends.
The Elton did one that's actually bigger than the Beatles one.
I'll find one. Like that Obla Dia Bla Da song.
Pardon?
Obla Dia Bla Da.
Thatcher song.
With a little help.
Yeah.
Joe Cocker.
Yeah, Joe. But so, anyways, there's 3 we found just right now.
The thing is,
but the remake is often better than the original.
People remake songs because they want to make it better. You can't perfect Beach Boys songs, man.
Oh, fuck your hat. It's a one-trick pony. Beach Boys, no one thinks about it. You know what? I won't say nobody because we all know Pet Sounds, and I love that Pet Sounds album. But I don't own any other album except for Pet Sounds.
The thing with me, Dave, and
then it's surfer music.
But that was early.
Right.
But it's fun music.
Without a doubt.
Turn the brain off and just have some fun.
You can do that with Beatles too, I think.
I can. I think that
I love Beatles.
Oh, and getting shot.
I love the Beatles.
I am the Walrus.
I don't know enough.
Yellow Submarine.
I don't know enough Beatles songs.
That song's just a big trip.
Without a doubt, but it's adding to the turn the brain off.
Okay, this was a 75-minute segment that went nowhere. Anyways, get back to us who you think's better, Beach Boys or Beatles. We had a very heated conversation. Apparently, didn't I thought it was a yes or no question, but anyways, It was greatly anticipated. I've been meaning to ask you, Dave, for a long time about this because I knew it would kind of get into this a little bit. I thought you were going to say Beatles, and I was right. I'm a Beach Boys guy, always have been. One of the first shows I ever saw at Sportsplex when I was a kid, 83, I think it was. I'm not a Beatles guy. I don't find them entertaining. That's just me.
Well, I'm a Beatles guy, and like and like the normal question is Beatles or Stones, and I'm a Beatles guy.
Yeah.
I might be a Beach Boys guy before Stones guy, but then that might be a better debate for me.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Stones is third on that list for me.
Who is?
The Stones would be third out of the three. No disrespect.
No, I get it, but like it's tough. Like when you put the greats on,
but if you
like
really
and they're all great. They're all great. I'm not diminishing the Beach Boys.
Best songs on par with each other, they don't hold up.
No, I think they do. I think the Stones are really good.
I don't.
I think the Stones are better than the Beatles, but that's my opinion.
There's...
Anyways, we'll end this show on that. Dave, big weekend plans coming up?
There's no big weekend plans, but it's awesome outside. It is springtime. Feels like springtime. Touching wood.
We almost broke the temperature record today.
Don't matter to me. I just want it to be nice. I don't want it to be windy. I want baseball to start. I want something else to bitch about because I'm having too much fun just having nice weather.
Anyways, the NCAA tournament's on starting this weekend. If you hear this tonight or early tomorrow morning, make sure you sign up for the bracket pool, the 14-20 bracket pool. Spring training games are winding up. The season's 2 weeks away. The Yankees decided they're going to have 20% capacity at the stadium this year, which is nice. Baseball's happening. The NHL's happening. It's all going on. Take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourself if you need you around. Keep your stick on the ice, and Dave,
don't swing at high pitches.
Don't swing at the high pitches. Buy a t-shirt, buy a hat, sign up for the pool, and we'll talk to you guys on Saturday.